thing, like the biggest benefit of it has been because everybody's schedule's so hectic. You know, we're all on different schedules with their work schedules, so just being able to have the consistent family time gives
I'm
kids
on the
a
phone.
character. So it's
Come
been
on.
good to be able to like, just have everybody here at the same time on the same schedule, and we're able to just, keep um, that
Hey, you
connection.
get the
So
suit put up.
I've been glad that the boys and the kids, have been all in the nest where they should be, safe.
Yeah. I think for me, it's been probably creating like more of a bond with my own immediate family. I was always raised in like a really big family, but since we're not supposed to be like mingling and interacting like outside the house, I've been trying to stick to it. I know that everybody's different, so others do other things, but for me, I've been trying to really like stay home, which is good. I feel like I said, I get to bond with my own family, and I've been able to appreciate that. My least favorite, I was sharing with Pastor a little bit earlier, is that I'm an extrovert, and so I like people interaction. I like socializing. I like spending time and helping people. So I feel myself like finding ways to be creative in that. And if I went back to a normal life tomorrow, I think I think I would just appreciate things a little bit more. I think I wouldn't say I took it for granted, but I guess not realizing how like blessed we are to have food and water every day, or like toilet paper, and not have to like hunt it down, right? Has been kind of key for me. So, any other thoughts before we move on? No? All right. Well, um, planning for a successful day. Some of the things that I've kind of found helpful in this time is starting with a plan. I think it's important to like set priorities and examples of like what you're hoping to accomplish each day. Some of the things that like for me in my house and what we do, right, is like establishing like what's on my to-do list, like in the morning, thinking through like what we need today to feel like successful, what are my children's needs, if we had like any items that we need to be thinking about from the store perspective, looking at your pantry, evaluating it, and then like overall, like what do I need to feel good today. I think that right now, being at home, especially if people aren't the type to like reach out or really put themselves out there, I think in some ways those could be the people that maybe seclude themselves a little bit more. And I know that even like sitting in the house, sometimes people can become sad. So that's a good way to kind of check yourself in terms of like what you need overall. Um, Sorry. Okay, so something else I found helpful is like establishing a routine. So I'll move this out of the way. So what does that look like for our household, right? I have a schedule, Mike has a schedule, the girls have a schedule, and the twins have a schedule, right? So while I know, right, everybody doesn't plan by a schedule, I've found that having stability, and like especially for children, right, they thrive on routine. When you think about them and even like their current like education system, the more you can do to like establish that helps them feel safe. And sometimes it can help with stability. I know people would always like make fun of me because like for my babies, right? I've always been the type of person like, no, we stick to a schedule. They're in bed by a certain time. I try to establish routines earlier on in life because I feel like it helps with everybody being able to be balanced. So this is just an example of what your schedule could look like. For me, my schedule: I get up, I get dressed, I work. I usually try to take a lunch with and I chat with the kids. I work again from 1 to 4. Dinner at around 5, and then we do like a family activity. Then we usually get the twins ready for bed and bath, and then 8 o'clock is usually like me time or like spending time with Michael. My schedule is similar, but he starts much early. He gets on work at 6 o'clock. So he's doing, work, and then he has a break around 10. That's usually his time. He gets out and talks to the kids. Same with lunch, and then his end time's about 2:30. So after that, he spends his time, doing any chores or, looking for ways to keep the girls like engaged. And then we do like a 5 p.m. dinner, as I said, the family activity, twin time, and then the me time. And the girls' schedule, I think it's been interesting because at first I was like, okay, let them do whatever they want. And then somehow I became a teacher for homeschool, which my education was not for like primary teaching. So this has definitely been an adjustment. But again, I think finding like ways to keep your kids interactive, finding ways to make sure that they have some type of routine has definitely helped in terms of like, I think bringing some of their like stress down as well. So just a thought in terms of like what you can do to help your family run on a schedule. Some activities for the kids. These are just a couple that are free right now. Um, I think that in this kind of era, keeping them involved, especially because we will have kids that like don't have the interaction of going to a class every day or spending time with their friends. And so these are just some educational ones that you can do for your children that are free. If you're interested, I can send those to you. I also came up with some of the things that I've been kind of seeing people do, as well as that like we've been doing in our house that have been kind of fun. um, TikTok, right? I haven't personally done a video, but I think it's fun watching like all the families that are interacting right now. Mike and I have been taking the girls on bike rides every day, which has been super, I think, refreshing. One, because we're walking around the neighborhood, getting to appreciate nature. I've never been a nature girl. I actually hate being outside, but now I have a new appreciation for fresh air. And I think it's also a good way to interact with the kids. Playing board games, crafting. I put Pinterest there because there's so many ideas that you can get on Pinterest if you're bored, that are free. Gardening. I'm not personally a gardener, but I've seen a lot of people gardening in this time. And then just letting the kids be kids. I think that we forget that they are kids sometimes. So letting them go outside and play in the backyard, or, letting them, watch TV if they want to, or, just the normal stuff that they would typically do, not taking away from that, I think is kind of important. So ways to promote happy and healthy family members slash coworkers. I call them coworkers because like, right, like that's what they would be if we were at work. And since I'm working from home, these are now my coworkers. So well, some of the things that I thought were helpful were like being patient with the people that you live with, right? Like I think that even your own coworkers at work get on your nerves sometimes, so it's only likely that it could be happening with your family. Learning their love languages. I know that in the marriage ministry we talk a lot about this, right? Like how you love one another, but surprisingly, kids have love languages too, right? And so how you pour into